I only read 4 books in February because they were so long. One of the longest books I read was Shadows of Time, which is like, I don't know, almost 1,000 pages. It is the end of the Sun Eater series. Shadows Upon Time I thought was a good conclusion to the Sun Eater series, but I made a long-form video about it a while ago about Sun Eater, and I liked the book. I thought it was pretty good, but it was a little underwhelming to me. Sun Eater by Christopher Ruocchio, the entire series, I think is a really worthy space opera. It's one of the best sci-fi series I've read in recent memory. It's long, it's sprawling, it's about an empire over the galaxy, it's intergalactic, it has arcane mystery. It's a really interesting series. Shadows Upon Time I felt like was a little predictable. It was a little too long, even though every book is pretty long in the series. This one felt it. I felt the length of it. The other ones, I didn't feel the length. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed every book more than the last one. The character arcs felt a little incomplete, and some of the side characters were very one-dimensional to me. Overall, I think it stuck the landing, but I'm kind of happy to put that series behind me. But I do overall recommend the Sun Eater. You can look at my major video that I made about the entire series. The next book I read that I loved was There Is No Antimemtics Division. This book is a cross between X-Files, Men in Black, The Gone World, which was an interesting book, and True Detective. It is about it's like this government agency that exists but doesn't exist, and it exists to protect the world from like viral ideas and viral creatures that live in plain sight but that we can't see them. The Antimemtics Division kind of exists, it kind of doesn't. The people that are in charge of it, they forget that they're even doing it because they erase their memories to protect their secrets. It has non-linear storytelling. It was fascinating. I loved it. It doesn't work for everybody. But if you like stuff like X-Files, particularly X-Files, which the book winks at you a little bit, it kind of makes fun of itself that it knows it's like X-Files. Very clever writing. I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend There Is No Antimemtics Division. The next book I read was Determined by Sapolsky. It is a nonfiction book. I'm a fan of his other book, Behave. This book has similar threads with biological determinism, but the author leans even more into it, like emphatically to prove a point, that free will doesn't exist. He explores the structures of neurons and their like neurotransmitters, and he gets even elbow deep into talking about like quantum foam stuff. He really digs deep into it. His thesis is basically every decision you make was biologically or even quantumly determined long before you made the decision. He says that it's turtles all the way down. One thing I didn't like about this book is I think this book is actually kind of guilty of it's a little conceited. Knowing that there's no free will doesn't change my experience of free will. It's like someone trying to tell me that a donut is really bad for me. I will still enjoy that donut. Imagine like being a thinker just after Isaac Newton's breakthroughs and coming to conclusions about free will, knowing nothing about like the electromagnetic spectrum or epigenetics or something like that. And to be like, I've looked at all mechanical laws and determined there is nothing beyond the physical world that dictates human behavior. I think part of the picture is a little incomplete. And I think that's kind of the issue that I have with this book. The confidence to say free will doesn't exist is kind of galling when you consider in the context that we know very little about the known universe and that he explores less than 1% of the unknown universe that is even out there. Empirical thinking is always incomplete and evolving, and that's something that demands humility and not certainty. So I wasn't that big of a fan of this book, although I do recommend you read Behave by him, which is very good. The last book I read in February was The Cause. This book was a nice brief book about the American Revolution, the events that led to it and the war itself, and a little bit of the aftermath. If you're looking for a brief book about the American Revolution, I listened to the audiobook of this. It was maybe it was 10 hours, I think. It's a nice overview. I felt it was very balanced of all of the elements that came together for that revolution and what happened afterwards. It really focuses on George Washington, of course, but a lot of the other people and writers and thinkers and philosophers that led to that happening, and then a little bit of the British perspective as well. I did enjoy it. That wraps it up. Those are my February reads. Please subscribe if you enjoy my content. And check out my website. I'm an author. I write science fantasy at wickwelker.com. Check out that. No pressure, you can take a look. And then I'm also a medical doctor. I have a podcast called ICU Doc Talk, which I talk about medical stuff like critical care medicine, and I also talk about books. I go in even more into depth than on my YouTube channel about my books, so you can check that out. Thank you.